All right. So earlier this year, I think in March or something like that, we did Mortal Kombat 2021. Now we're going to travel back in time. Grab your cassette player. I hope you pre-ordered that PlayStation. If you have Pog, set them aside. It's time for Mortal Kombat. Let's start the show. Now, he wasn't here last episode. That's because he was with his lady love. I tried to show him props, and I was shouted down by my co-host. I don't know why they're haters. They just are. But let's bring in Fatality. Sir, how
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much. I was
now you seem extremely tired after this celebration. Why? Do you want to go into it, or should I just step away?
That's the way love goes, like John and Jack.
There you go. We are glad you're back.
To the 90s.
Let us bring in somebody who has finally accepted his true self, his destiny. He is the emperor. If you don't believe me, wait till later when he gives his opinion. He calls himself the executive consultant.
Sir, actually, the executive champion. You have to get it right because I am the champion.
Changed it now. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what happens. I win.
Now this is your pick. We're going to start with you as is tradition, unless you choose to waive those rights. And by the way, before I should say anything, happy Juneteenth tomorrow. No, I don't have any money for you. I can probably dance at a site of a massacre, but happy Juneteenth nonetheless to you. Right. And that's tomorrow. But tonight is Mortal Kombat, which is apropos considering this is the United States. But let's jump into the synopsis, and I'll throw it over to Chris if he would like to go first. This is Mortal Kombat in 1995. Remember, this 1995 film adaptation of the massively popular video game series of the same name follows Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage as they travel to Outworld and compete in the latest tournament of Mortal Kombat. Now, as always, we allow the person who picked the movie to go first. Chris, this is your pick. Chris Doctor says, free yourself. In the bass tone. Chris, would you like to go first and tell us what you liked about this, why you picked this movie?
Well, I picked this movie because we saw Mortal Kombat from earlier this year, and it was garbage. So because of that, I said I wanted to see a real Mortal Kombat movie where I actually see fatalities or make some kind of sense in a villain who actually seems like he's, frightening. And that's why I decided to do that. This is Mortal Kombat in every sense of the way.
Okay, that's fair. What did you like about it, other than, as you say, a frightening protagonist?
Oh, I'm going first?
Oh, if you want to. You don't have to.
I'm going first. I can do it. That's fine. Let me go ahead and get this out the way.
Okay, we go.
All right. So the moment you all have been waiting for this entire episode, consulting with the consultant. Mm-hmm. This is what I did not like about this movie. It's hard to live in 2021 and watch this movie now in 1995. You see so much crap. I literally saw people walking up a mountain that didn't look like they were walking up a mountain. It was really, really, really bad for me. Johnny Cage's acting definitely was acting for the movie, but not acting for the movie, if you feel what I'm saying. It was terrible. Same thing with Sonya Blade.
Did you see those sweep kicks? That didn't make
that sweep kick that didn't go completely sweep, didn't sweep anything. It's like she bought that from the dollar store. It was terrible. Now look, here's what I did like about the movie. This movie was good. It was about Mortal Kombat. It was about a tournament. It was about fighting. And shout out to C the Superior. I don't care how this sounds. Shang Tsung actually had BDE, right? He did. He looked like a villain. He went out there, flawless victory. Finish him. I wanted to get up and finish my pillow. It was that bad. It was really, really bad. I believed him. He went out there. He fought. He looked scary. Mm-hmm. Speaking of bad acting, let's talk about Katana. But no, seriously, it looked very, very scary. So then I fast forward to 2021. I'm like, what the hell is this? Liu Kang was a badass in this one too. Give him credit to Liu Kang. Johnny Cage got his man. Before they decided to screw him up in the second one. But Johnny Cage got his man. Raiden, you're a little bit of a jokey joke, but hey, I believed you were a god of thunder and lightning. Mm-hmm. It was a lot to like about this movie. Good action, good scenes. Sub-Zero and Scorpion were assassins. They got their butts whipped. Reptile did a better job, but they still were in the movie. They still did a decent job. So credit to this movie. credit to this film. I still say this is better than Mortal Kombat from this year.
Okay. I'll get more into that later. Fatality. Would you like to go next?
Sure. Well, okay. Now looking at this again, this thing brought back so many memories. Like, and mind you, if there's anything, if you ever have to choose a movie as an example of the music makes the movie, this is definitely it. I remember sitting in that audience, seeing this movie as a teenager. The music just had everybody clapping, everybody hyped because above all else, what this movie was is a promo. I don't see this not looking back at it. I see it more as a promotional thing instead of an actual movie because a lot of it was just dubbed from the game. Like Sonya Blade with her move, Liu Kang with his move, Kano with his signature stuff. Like a lot of it was just really just pulled out of the game. So what I say this a lot, it's definitely a matter of perspective. If somebody didn't experience the craziness around Mortal Kombat, I don't think they're going to appreciate this that much. I definitely wouldn't show this to the younger generations. I don't think they're going to appreciate it as much. Because mind you, when this movie came out, I think Mortal Kombat 3 was out being pushed, and there's still a whole bunch of, and then Ultimate and then Trilogy and all this other stuff. So they pretty much use this to promo everything. And that song is iconic. That song is very 90s. That song is like a time period. You know what I mean? So just anybody that's from that time would definitely appreciate this. I think anybody that never stood up and put a quarter to play Mortal Kombat and stand around with the greasy fingers and stand around just to wait to see a fatality. You know what I mean? Like the hype, just the fact that this was going to be in the big screen was crazy. Man, this shit brought back so many memories. Now, looking at it in the 2021 lens, you're going to see the cheese. You're going to see all of that. And now, let me tell you something. Johnny Cage's acting what was terrible. Liu Kang's acting was terrible. Everybody's acting was terrible. Why? Because none of these people were actors. Like the majority of the people that they chose for this movie were part of the World Martial Arts Council, were part of WMAC Masters. So at that time, that show was popping. And it was cool because they had a championship, and the championship had a whole bunch. Oh, shout out to NXT. But anyway, they had a championship, and the championship had a whole bunch of little things, and you had to beat other people. And there were people in this movie that were from that show. So all of those guys, like Chang, like Liu Kang's brother, he was, I think, Tsunami, and then the other guy with the dreads was the Machine guy. Man, listen, at the time, this movie was popping because of the people that was in it, and everybody was recognizable from different periods. I mean, from different stuff. So it was just insane. I mean, anybody that remembers just standing up and playing the game and doing all of that is going to like this movie and just going to feel the nostalgia behind it, which is something that I definitely felt. You know what I mean? I would literally watch this again on my phone just to be entertained. But you know what? I wouldn't do. I definitely wouldn't sit this and watch this with my 30-year-old fiance. She wouldn't appreciate it. She just wouldn't. I really wouldn't. That's the truth. You know what I mean? She, born in the 90s. What are you gonna do? Hey, it is what it is. But like I always say, it's always a matter of perspective. And I apologize because I haven't done this in a long time. I have not gone this long-winded. But the fact of the matter is that I love this movie. Yeah.
I will say this, and Chris also touched on it a little bit, but I think Vic gave it the right name that it deserves. This movie is cheese. And I'm going to rag on this movie and then throw your curveball at the end. Here we go. 1995. And it shows it. Why? As it should. This movie, we're in 2021. I sent in to watch this movie. Of course, it opens up with the iconic theme song. There's a saying that the movie is going to be enjoyable or good, quote unquote, if they use the theme. If it's an adaptation or something, if they use the same theme in the movie, they're confident about what the product is, right? This movie opens up with the theme from Mortal Kombat. Back then, as Vic said, there was a thing called an arcade. There was no home consoles like that. Yeah, we had Nintendo, we had Sega. I can't remember if Sega CD or it already come out or whatever like that. But arcades were still the thing. That's what you did. You had the quarters, you had the $5 allowance or whatever like that, and you put in the machine, and your pockets were heavy with all that nickel and silver, whatever it is, aluminum, whatever quarters are made out of, right? The zinc, right? And you loved it. Or you watched those people who put in countless amounts of money into those machines, who knew how to do all the moves, and they would be on those machines for hours, and you just stood there and you watched and you appreciate it. Now we have these tournaments where you see people and they're coming from all different places in the world and everything like that. But this is the precursor. That was the beginning. And to be a part of that generation, there's something to that, and I'll show respect to it. Okay. Nowadays, if you put out something that looked like Ray Harryhausen did it, Ray Harryhausen, the famous for stop motion animation, you know what I'm talking about, people would laugh at you. But to respect the technique and to realize that that is what brought us to where we are today, credit has to be given. Originally, and people may not know this, even Jurassic Park was going to be stop motion animation for the dinosaurs, and it was only after George Lucas showed Steven, not George Lucas, but it was his company, Pixar and everything at that time. But somebody who was there and knew what computer animation could do, that they switched it from stop motion animation to CGI, right? So credit has to be given. That said, let us have some fun, poking fun at this cheesy movie. Chrissy said it first, you know, and listen, E-Boogie is not here tonight, and she's going to think I'm always hating on women, but I keep the same energy. I said the same thing about Jingle All the Way, right? With the mother who is like, you didn't get the doll, even though I'm sitting home doing nothing but baking these nasty ass cookies or whatever like that. So I got to get the smoke. Sonya Blade looked like she had no reason to be in the FBI or whatever she was supposed to be in. E-Boogie, I was just talking about you. Look at that. She had no capability whatsoever. That move, her signature move that she does where she wraps the legs around the neck and snaps, it moves so slow. I thought she had been aged at least 70 years because she moves so slowly. I said, Kano, really? You killed her partner, but you didn't see that coming? Then, as if she wasn't weak enough, they basically make her, I don't even know if I could say that, an ex-slave dressed in a pseudo gladiator outfit at the end of the movie with that teased 1980s rocker hair, chained up like I'm watching Barbarella. Where are we going? Where are we going? The Outworld Castle, Shang Tsung's castle, looked like it was Dragonstone. There were so many steps. My legs were hurting. I said, how many steps do we have to climb? It was insane. Goro, it freaked me out when I watched it as a child the first time because I said, how horrific would this 10-foot tall, full-armed mutant be in real life? And he's always making that noise. As a man, I watched that and I said, Jesus, where are we going? Where are we going? You know what I mean? But again, credit due. But it was goofy as hell. Shout out to Kano for eating that raw turkey leg. I don't know how many takes he had to do. It looked tough as hell. And it looked nasty as hell. That's why he spit it out. But Jesus, man, he was committed to that role. Salute to him. Salute to Jax, who the black man at the beginning who was with Sonya, who said, Sonya, don't get on that thing. He was the smartest man in this movie because that would have been me. Because I would have looked at that rickety ass Viking ship and said, this is not a place I need to be. Number one, the last time I followed you onto a boat, that's how I got here. But enough about that. That's for tomorrow's show on Juneteenth. But anyway, what I'm saying is this. There's no reason you need to get on that old Viking ship. It looks like it's trouble. And sure enough, it was. Okay. Salute to Raiden, who we will call today cultural appropriation. I don't know which part of Scotland, as he's the Highlander, and or Asia, they look like a pure Scotsman. But Raiden, why is he? I can only assume because when Liu Kang goes to the temple to find out what happened to his brother after the dream, that architecture was Thai in design. Those look like Thai temples, right? So I know at least from my small study of history, there was a time in China in the ancient past where they thought that they were the only people on Earth because they were insulated in the community. They were surrounded by mountains and everything like that. So I can only imagine what the Thai thought being south of China. I would have said to myself, who is this white man who wants me to worship him as a god? I'm confused. He looks nothing like anybody that I see around me. Why is he here? Oh, I know. To put up his finger and then give me the sparkly eye. I guess you clap cheeks however you clap cheeks, but salute to him. Salute to the Highlander for still having the mojo, as Austin Powers would say. There's so many things in this movie. Salute to Shang Tsung, who was dressed all in leather, and clearly the air conditioner was working, because every time I saw him, his hair was popping like it was a Pantene commercial. Okay. There was so much sass in this movie, I thought we were watching another movie for Pride. But salute to them for being ahead of their time. Okay. It was sassy. It was cheesy. It was sexist. It was the 90s. This movie is unabashed in all of its forms. And I laughed and cried and giggled all throughout this movie. There's so much to talk about. I have a slight recast it later just because, again, when I see it and it reminds me of something, that's how I recast it. But I'll save that for later during my final thoughts. That was the start of my curveball. Now, flawless victory. You are here with us tonight. We welcome you. Thank you for being here. Your thoughts on Mortal Kombat 1995?
Honestly, it felt like the first time watching it. I've probably seen it once or twice in my youth, but the year it came out, I was like 6. So that tells you how much I was able to retain from that viewing. I don't know. It had its moments. I did enjoy a lot of the action sequences and the fighting. I thought the choreography was decent. And I thought that some of the legitimate stunts were done well. Mm-hmm. A lot of cuts, but still, I thought it was enjoyable with that. Everything in between was garbage and not entertaining whatsoever, and not a real plot to me. Like the motivations of each of the fighters didn't resonate with me. It just was this ongoing thing that wouldn't end, and I just was ready for it to be over. And once it was over, it was kind of a cliffhanger, and it was very, oh, it's not really over. There's more to come. Should you choose to come back? Well, if I had the choice back then, the answer would have been no. This was not enjoyable in the slightest to me, except in how campy it was. Definitely loved the camp in it. And that's funny that you mentioned like they were so sassy for Pride, because I really feel like when I think campy movie, this is what I think of. Even though it was an action movie, it was still very like kind of cheesy, like you said. Very, what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. Here. Yeah, I could have watched the trailer. That's where I'll leave it. Congratulations.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get to our final thoughts. Find out what we're reviewing Thursday, as well as next Tuesday. Stay with us watching Unpopular Review. Mortal Kombat 1995.
Let us leave to the wood.
Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin. For I repentant thou shalt be. From evil I will turn to thee. None ever shall destroy my faith. For I repentant thou shalt be. Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin.
All right, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're reviewing Mortal Kombat 1995. This coming Tuesday, we are celebrating James's birthday week, and we're kicking off with none other than a movie called The Witch. That'll be Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and then Thursday right here for host pick we have Let the Right One In, also a James pick. So I will say this: happy birthday to James beforehand. I will also say this to all of you: I apologize for these picks, especially if you're not one that likes to read subtitles for movies. But apparently, James is sitting here making us do that. But right now, we're reviewing Mortal Kombat 1995, none other than Techno Fatality, Flawless Victory, and the Executive Champion right here. Getting into final thoughts, and we'll start off this time with none other than the person who's always punctual, Flawless Victory. You will talk about your final thoughts.
You know, I try to strive to be closer to. Sorry, someone's dying over here. Say a quick prayer for them. That being said,
now she got her joke being fatality.
I try to be I try to be closer to God by being. It's not even worth keep continuing this joke because it's not going to land. That person dying in the background really didn't work. Definitely fumbled me up. But that being said, bottom line, it's a thumbs down for me. I will say everyone was hot in this movie, even the dude with two chests. Not in a sexual way, but I felt that BDE like really coming up off of him. And definitely off of Sonya Blade. I almost called her Sonya Sanchez on accident. Shouts out for Sonya Sanchez. But
say it again.
Shouts out Sonya Sanchez. But yeah, I felt everyone in this movie had BDE. I really appreciated that. I did like that Sonya Blade, her fight was the first fight to start that we saw on that island, if I'm not mistaken. And that she kicked dudes' butt. Loved that and got her revenge. Did feel like it was a little, dark side of a good guy of her to kill him like that, but I get it. She had to avenge her partner and whatnot. That being said, the best part of this movie was the music, and I don't need to watch a movie for that. So thumbs down from me.
We're live, folks.
Okay. So, this wasn't a movie. This was a promo. And this promo was incredibly effective at what it did. Right? Why is that? Number one, anybody that went to go see this movie was already invested in the characters. Why? Because they had already played the game. They were invested into the game. That was the whole purpose of this movie. Mm-hmm. They wanted to give you a live action version of the game. That's it. That's all this was. And I'm waiting to see what the numbers were because I know the budget wasn't big. The CGI was terrible. You can see reptile and all of that. Mm-hmm. But the reality of the situation is that I went to the theater maybe about 6 to 7 times to see this thing.
Yeah.
Because the hype was there. The hype was definitely there. And mind you, the fact is we saw this movie, went to the back to play the game right after the damn movie. That's how much of a hype it was. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like I always say, it's a matter of perspective. It's just like if one of us were to try to be all nostalgic about playing an 8-track, none of us are going to know what the hell that experience is really like. And unless we did it with our parents, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just that, like that's why I say like I wouldn't watch this with my fiance. She was born in '90, so like when this came out, she was 5 years old. What the hell is she gonna remember? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, it did what it did for the time that it had, and what makes this and here's the truth. I'm excited about the new Mortal Kombat. I'm definitely excited. Now, seeing this, like what was said before, at least I saw in the comments, the Goro was definitely much better in this one.
You think this one was better too?
No, as far as Goro, yeah. I feel like this Goro had more personality. I like
that. Yeah.
Talking, and he had, a little bit of story with him. You know what I mean? And clearly, the Shang Tsung was 10 times better in this movie. Yeah. Than in the new one. But what excites me about the new one is that like it's clearly going to be like 4 or 5 movies. Therefore, I mean, I think that we'll be able to judge it once all of that is done. You know what I mean? And this movie was, like I said before, a promo. It was for what it was. It was for people of my time. So like clearly I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. But I'm biased. I'm a 90s teen, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be incredibly biased. So
I think you're right about that, especially when you say the backstory, as Chrissy just said in the comments. And he was able to speak and everything like that. He was fleshed out, ironically, even though the other one, you get what I'm saying, but he was fleshed out more in this one. And Shang Tsung. What I did like about the newer one in 2021 as compared to this one, they did a better job, I thought, with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Oh, yeah. I liked in that we got to see more of that. Mm-hmm. So there was a trade-off. And also the main character in the new one took the place of who Sonya Blade was in this one. He did absolutely nothing in 2021, just like Sonya Blade did in this one. Now, I'll say this, as I said, it's a curveball. So I ragged on it as it should be ragged on. That's what you do with these older movies. Some of them, they were made. They were made to make money and for you to buy the next Mortal Kombat 4, as the PlayStation was coming out the next month of this after this movie came out, right? In September of 95. But Blade, the first Blade in 98, really, really, really set the tone for what we know as the modern comic book video game movies, right? Before then, they didn't really take it seriously. You could argue, and I know this is going to be controversial, but whatever, but the Super Mario Brothers movie kind of, in a way, took itself seriously in that it stuck to the source material as much as it could in that whole world of mythology and everything like that. But Blade really, really took itself seriously as a film that just happens to have vampires in it. It wasn't goofy. It wasn't cheesy or anything like that. It was a very, quote unquote, true to life film. And this movie predates that by 3 years. So when you look at Street Fighter, when you look at Super Mario Brothers, when you look at Mortal Kombat, you're going to see that campy tone that E Boogie talked about earlier, because that's what movies like this were. It's only until 1998 with Blade, and that's why, again, give credit where it's due, that we have the serious tone that we take for granted and as a given today, right? So I just want to say that early on. I do have some recasts, as I hinted earlier. I just like to start because this movie did some switching of ethnicities, because that's what we do. That's what Hollywood has always done. It's very traditional. So I'd like to start with this one, random black guy. Now, why am I picking him? Because of his little mustache. Now, when I saw his mustache, it reminded me of one person and one person only. And it's actor-comedian Jonathan Waters, because he's known for that mustache. And that's who I kept seeing whenever I saw this guy. And if Raiden can be Asian, well, damn it, the black man could be Jonathan Waters. Okay? Now, coming up next, let me go with Shang Tsung. Do I have a picture? Here we go. Here's Shang Tsung, 1995. Look at him looking sassy, got his eyebrows did. What did he use? The string to do him? I don't know. Right? With that leather coat that must not be hot because the wind is always blowing in Mortal Kombat 1995. And I looked at him and I said, well, he reminds me of somebody. And at first I was going to go with somebody completely different. I was going to go with Christopher Walken in Fist of Fury, the spoof of, obviously, Mortal Kombat. But I said, that's too on the nose. And then I thought about it and I said, well, the person who he really is with that leather coat and everything like that is none other than Saro Numspa from The Golden Child. Charles Dance, playing Saro Numspa, or as Eddie Murphy called him, my brother. You're my brother Numsi. Okay, you have to see Golden Child. That's an 80s movie that's going back 10 years before that. About now, next we have this man, as Aaron calls him, the man with two chests, Guru. Right? Yes, I did say Blade earlier. Here he is right there. Look how real he looks. And when I saw him, I said, man, he reminds me of somebody. Who is it? I know I've seen it before. And then I remember. Let me just show you this clip quickly. And here it is. I'm sorry. That was Clash of the Titans. But I was reminded of Goro with that long torso and the multi-limbs, just like the Kraken and everything like that. Coming up next, as I said, I wish they had spread out Scorpion a little bit more like we got in the 2021. And this is Scorpion in this movie here. There he is. He's about to do his final attack that we see one of the fatalities, and I forget which Mortal Kombat for the first time, the video game. Here he is fighting Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is over there shielding himself. And I saw that and I said, I've seen this before. And actually, I picked it as one of my movies, even though my movies are made fun of sometimes on this channel. But here we go. Hubcap, shield, and all. Dream Warriors. James brought it to you. That's what I do. I bring you all these different films because that's what I'm known for. And last but not least, I thought to myself, well, let's do Raiden. Raiden who can switch ethnicities. Raiden who can only be one. Raiden who is Asian, but he had an accent that belonged in Western Europe. Raiden. The god who did absolutely nothing. I guess that's why they're atheists. But anyway, let me show you Raiden in this movie. Here he is. He's talking to Sonya Blade, and it's a secret because he's standing so close to her. And when I saw that, I said, man, I've seen this before. I know I've seen this before. Where have I seen this? And I thought of Vic, and I said, let's go political. And who could I pick? None other than Daddy Juneteenth himself. Here he is. I see, and you see,
I already know.
You see, and clearly, young Sonya. Clearly, young Sonya is very worried at what she's hearing, much like Sonya is right here, because he's telling them about Shang Tsung and what to expect. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will be my recasted for this amazingly cheesy 1995, Mortal Kombat film. That being said, I saw this movie, I don't know how many times as a kid. Growing up in Langley Park, I heard this playing in so many speakers on those speakers that they got for on the low, that the bass wasn't on it properly. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. If you're from the area, you can hear it today. That's why my name is Techno. It's a thumbs up. It has to be. It has to be.
If E Boogie was saying something, nobody heard her. Anyway, look, this is it. 1995 Tekken, not Tekken, shit. 1995 Mortal Kombat was my pick. You already know what it is. Let's talk about some numbers, right? Numbers. This movie cost a whopping $18 million to make. It made a whopping $122 million worldwide. Now imagine how much of a profit that is, especially in the year 1995. $70 million of it came from the United States. This movie was very successful. So successful, they came up and gave us the classic, great, spectacular movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I'm joking. That movie was awful. It was garbage, and it was worse than Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, that being said, I'm about to address that situation and that comment right there. Somebody said, hey,
of course,
make sure when you do your final thoughts, make sure you do your final thoughts, you think of Casper. I'm not thinking of Casper. The only thing I'm thinking of Casper is when it comes to this movie and it comes to Casper, flawless victory. Casper sucked. Mortal Kombat was entertaining. Thumbs up to Mortal Kombat. Your pick was awful, see.
Wait a minute. All y'all gave it a thumbs up.
Mortal Kombat.
This movie was pure
All
cheese.
y'all
This
gave
movie
it a
was
thumbs
pure
up.
cheese.
James, you gave it a thumbs up.
You missed it. I ripped this movie apart. And
then gave it a thumbs up.
Remember, this movie, I didn't go into this movie is not American Beauty. This movie is not American Beauty. It was never meant to be American Beauty. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It did what it was supposed to do. And you have to grade the movie on that. For instance,
which was sell to fanboys globally.
What? Say that again?
Sell out to fanboys globally.
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was to promote Mortal Kombat 4.
Well, I know now why so many young men would have watched this, because every man in this movie was fine and took his shirt off. Bravo!
Then why did you give it a thumbs up? Why didn't you give it a thumbs up?
Because that's not enough for me. But I get that. I get it if it's enough for y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Fatalities in the game.
Full lack of acting and direction, but fully, that's cool. That's cool. You know, yeah, man. Bravo. You guys stand in your truth.
Listen,
can
let
I-
me just say this. Let me say this in response to that. Admittedly, I could be wrong. The movie is trash, but it's enjoyable trash. It's like that. I'll go back and I'll watch it again.
I can see
and
that.
I'll laugh. And if, for instance, Maryland was like Virginia, you know what I'm saying, I would enjoy it 10 times more. But Maryland is not like Virginia.
I can
But
see
when
that.
it is on occasion, I enjoy it times however many, right?
Gotcha.
Depending on who the Candyman is, as I said before in the show. Now, that being said, let me say, next week, I thank you all for allowing me to do 2 movies, as Chrissy calls them, number 11 and 12 in my Halloween Horror Nights that I've spread throughout the year. I enjoy Halloween. I enjoy it. These movies, one is subtitled, yes. The Witch is in Elizabethan English. Now, I hope that the audience at home watches it. But really, I picked this movie because Chrissy has made me watch a couple of movies back to back that I found so torturous. I said, I want to find the movie that is so torturous to her that she will have to watch it. And then Chrissy threw me a curveball, said, oh, I can't make it. I'm so busy. I'm doing Black Lightning. The numbers are popping. I want to do Disney Renaissance. But then she admitted that she wanted to watch this movie for me to celebrate my birth in a non-creepy way, as they said last week. Yeah, you said it. So, Chrissy, I thank you for being on the next episode when we watch The Witch. I hope you enjoy it. It is not gorific. It is psychological. But please put on subtitles because there's a lot of talking and it's old-timey. And I loved every minute of it.
Wow, well, thank you so much for thanking C the Superior for joining you, but us who are also tortured, we get nothing, right? We sit here, we watch Elizabethan periods for The Witch that nobody's ever heard of. We gotta watch Let Me Let the Right One In, which is not even a porn movie, but it sounds like it should be. But it's like I'm watching this and it's subtitled. I'm like, why am I watching this? But hey, it's James' birthday. Mind you, I got one pick. And then C comes in and she bogarts her superior way in here. And she says, hey, you got to watch 2 movies next month. You got to watch 2 movies of mine next month. It's my birthday month. And then I'm already being tortured because y'all have me doing musicals, knowing I hate musicals. But y'all like, Chris, you got to watch musicals.
Can you remind us what your pick was?
For what? My birthday?
Yeah.
No, I can't. I don't remember what it was.
His pick was Austin Powers 1, 2, and 3. His pick was Star Wars. His pick was MCU. His pick was DCU. His pick is Spider-Man franchise.
False.
His pick is the Batman franchise.
False.
Okay,
False.
So we
I
don't
did not pick Star Wars.
Here.
That was C the Superior who picked Star Wars, just like she
His
picked
pick
Disney.
is there's no such thing as lockdown. I'll do whatever I want. That's his pick, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching us here tonight. Unpopular Review, Mortal Kombat. Join us on Tuesday, where we will be reviewing The Witch, and Thursday, we will be reviewing Let the Right One In. If you currently are subscribed to us on YouTube, which you should be, UPRE on YouTube, we reviewed the Loki series. It is out right now on YouTube. And make sure you follow us on all social media. So, for Techno, for Fatality, for Flawless Victory, I'm the Executive Champion. Still will be here next week. So will you. Thank you so much for watching us, and have a good night here from Unpopular Review.